Afternoon all and welcome to Claret and Booze. My name's Nick and this is my daily ramble. I hope you're all well. We made it to Friday. We did. What a crap week it's been. It's been a terrible week. In the West Ham world, anyway. I'm sure not everyone's had terrible weeks in their lives. It might not affect you all as deeply as what it does some of us. I don't know. I wish I was like that. I wish it didn't get to me and get under my skin the way that it does, because it'd be nice to be able to switch off from all this. But as always, look, like I say, drop a like on the video, and if you're new around here, please subscribe. Now, before we get into what we're going to talk about, there's plenty to talk about as well. You know, both stuff that happened yesterday I want to give my opinion on, and today as well. What we've done is we've been running now for sort of 18 months, going on 2 years, and we've had like a PayPal donations button where people have been regularly kind of they put money in there, and we've had plenty of notices from people saying, can you set up a means whereby we can contribute regularly to the channel. So what we have done, we've opened up a memberships thing on the channel. If you go to the main screen on the desktop, you can see it. There's a join button. If you want to join, you can. What I will say though, look, we know times are hard at the minute. We haven't done this for any other reason than it's a voluntary thing. If you want to support the channel, you can. Please don't feel like you need to, because we're paywalling nothing. That's not what we're going to do ever. You know, everything that we do, be it videos or on, community posts and stuff like that, it's always going to be public. So you're not going to miss out on anything. It's just a way that you can support the channel if you want to, okay? And I know not everyone's going to have the means to do it, and not everyone wants to do it as well, which I completely get. So it's there. It's an option if you want to become a Claret and Boozer. But I think we're all Claret and Boozers anyway. We are. We're all family. So look, before I completely lose me rag, we did a video about, it must have been about 2 months ago now, because the term West Ham 2.0 was being bandied about at the close of the season. And that was coming from the club in the way that they were looking to structure things. And we were all getting excited. What's it going to look like? Because at that time, we had number 41, but he's since moved on. We had Scamacca. We had, we still got Paqueta, but not for long. We had Lanzini. We had these players, and we thought we're going to add to it. With that number 41 money, we're going to go out there. We're going to spend money on progressive players, and we was kind of spitballing about what direction we're going to move in this season, because we thought we can't. It weren't working last year. It weren't, or the year before. Let's face it. So they've got to have some ideas. Fair enough. We thought Moyes was going to go. He hasn't. It looks like he was never going to go either, based on the players that we're now looking like bringing in. They're his players. So it was all nonsense. They was never going to get rid of him. So David Moyes is here for the foreseeable. He's definitely here for the next 12 months. And they're backing him, or so it looks like, with money to go and purchase players that fit Moyes ball. But as it materialises, what West Ham 2.0, what this was, I believe, is a complete regression into an archaic football style that harks back to the days of Wimbledon. Okay? And then if you go further on, you've got Stoke City. This has been mentioned on other channels because it's obvious. It's an obvious comparison. Teams with no craft, nothing but grit, determination, blockers, spoilers, horrible to play against. They just literally go out to stop football being played. What an advert for the Premier League. What an advert for the Premier League to have a team that go out onto a pitch to stop football being played. Well, that was Wimbledon. We've seen it with Tony Pulis's Stoke City as well. And it looks like that's what West Ham are trying to embark on with David Moyes, to go full David Moyes, to realise that man's vision. And that man's vision has nothing to do with football. It's to do with football not being played. Stop it, Who wants to see... Stop fucking passing the ball about. Who wants to see that? That's what this is all about, okay? Now, with the players that have left, the flair players that have been siphoned out, like I said, I'm going to include Rice. You've got Lanzini, you've got Scamacca, you've got Vlasic. Now we've got Paqueta as well. Wouldn't surprise me if Fornals went before the window closed, because with the players that we're going out there buying, they're all occupying his position. What's he doing here? He's just a spare part. So he's another one that will probably go, even though he is no longer a flair player, really, because he's had it coached out of him by David Moyes, or knocked out of him. So I think we're just going to have a team that's completely devoid of any craft whatsoever. The only craft that we're going to have is from a set piece. That's it. And that's where James Ward-Prowse comes into the equation. Now, I've got nothing against these players personally that are coming in. I haven't. But if you're going for James Ward-Prowse, if we're bringing sort of McTominay in, and Alvarez, bless him, right? The guy's a blocker. He's one of the best around at doing it. But I was excited that we got him because we needed to replace Declan Rice. But you can't have just a team full of blockers. You've got to have an outlet. You've got to be when you do hoof the ball up, which is going to be what we're doing, you need to be able to sort of make something happen. And what is that going to be? Is it going to be throwing yourself to the floor, trying to win a free kick? Is that going to be the limit of our craft? Because it's gamesmanship from the off. And with Harry Maguire, who, praise the Lord, he hasn't agreed terms yet. He hasn't, and he hasn't agreed his severance package. It isn't done yet. This is a guy that doesn't really want to be at West Ham. He doesn't. He said it twice before we even. Well, in this window, he said it twice. But David Moyes has chased this guy around. When you bear in mind that David Moyes, when he had flair players put in front of him, he was completely dismissive. Carlos Borges and the chap that's just signed for Bournemouth. I couldn't believe that one. I could not believe it when they signed him. But he was completely dismissive of them, didn't want him. But Harry Maguire, a guy that don't even want to come to West Ham, Moyes is chasing him around like a little puppy. He is. Please, will you come and play for me, please? Offered him the captaincy as well. We're chipping into his severance pay because we can't match the money that he's currently on. So it's looking like we're still having to convince. We're offering him 11 million as a down payment, as a signing on bonus, and we're still begging him to come and play for us. So this is a guy that's going to swan in thinking he's doing us a favour. Well, he is. He's doing Moyes a favour because he don't want to come. So if he comes, he is doing Moyes a favour. And this is a guy that can only exist in this, new termed low block system, which, as per the thumbnail, it's nothing new. It's not groundbreaking. It is sit, block, hoof. It's been done for years. The only difference was teams that used to do that used to have an effective counter-attack. So you used to block, long ball, have a threat on the counter-attack. We don't really have that. I know we've got Jared Bowen and Antonio, but they're no good when it's just them two going up against a competent backline. It's not an effective strategy. It's not. And that's why we're bringing in James Ward-Prowse, because Moyes does know this as well. So he's thinking, kill a game dead, go for the point. We're bound to pick up some corners and set pieces. We're going to hurt teams from set pieces. We'll score goals from set pieces. That's it. That's the master plan. That is a master plan. That is what we've got in store for us. I was on that show with Chris Akabusi the other night, and he made a really, really good point about when Tony Pulis was at Stoke City. When he left, they hated the football, but by the time that he left, they fell through the divisions, and they would have liked him back, because the issue was Tony Pulis had built that team in his own image. He'd ingrained himself on that football club. Their philosophy, everything that the players knew was sit, block, hoof. That was it. They tried to take different directions. It didn't work. We're allowing David Moyes to imprint himself on this football club. Now, I know that Gary said yesterday, we, the fans, won't accept that. David Moyes couldn't give two shits what we want. He couldn't care. He's proved it. He would have walked by now if he cared. He doesn't care. He treats us with contempt. Not bothered at all. He's the perfect man to undertake this project, which is being driven from the top by the look of it, because they're watching this all unfold. So we're going to be watching 8 men behind the ball, because there will be 3 men at the back. You're going to have, if and when he joins, you're going to have Harry Maguire, Kurt Zouma, and Aguirre. God knows how long he'll stick around, because he's a ball player. He's a defender, but he's a cultured player. But they're the 3 centre backs. You're going to have Emerson as a left back, unless we can. I wouldn't surprise me if Cresswell stays, to see Cresswell back there. But we're going to definitely see Soufal on the right back. So that is, that is a slow, deep backline, Aguirre aside. Aguirre aside. And Aguirre's wasted in a deep backline, because Aguirre was purchased for us when we were looking at playing a more expansive game, playing further up, because he gives you that recovery pace going back. He's not that good with people running at him. He's better when they run past him and he can chase after them and stick a foot in. He's not the best headerer in the world. He's not. Wouldn't surprise me if we played a back 4 to see Zouma and Maguire and see Aguirre dropped. Wouldn't surprise me. But I think we're going to go for the back 3. I think that's what we're doing. And they'll be playing deep. players like Maguire and Zuma, they're better face on, not having to look over their shoulder because they can't. They've got the turning circles of Arctic lorries. So they're much better the deeper they play. That will suit Fabs because Fabs don't want to come off of his fucking line. So he'll be much better in that setup. So Fabs will be starting. So that's going to be your back six. Then in front of that, Souček's just signed a 4-year deal, a new 4-year deal. As Gary said yesterday, this is a guy that's been useless for 18 months. And he's wanted to move for 18 months. His agent has been pumping him around all over Europe because the guy, first of all, wanted to get a new contract at West Ham. We said, we're not paying you 100 grand a week, mate. You ain't worth it. So he went, all right, I'm going to go and find it elsewhere. So he's been pumped all over Europe, but not one other club have bitten. They've not gone for it. They've not done it. So what's happened? He's plumped for West Ham. We've just given him a 4-year deal. We ain't paying Thomas Souček 100 grand a week or very close to it to sit on our bench. He's like Moyes' love child. He's going to be in that team every week. Now, what that means is take Paqueta out of the equation, take number 41 out of the equation. We've got to replace those two players. Alvarez replaces Rice in a defensive capacity. But what he doesn't do is he doesn't give you that transition from defence to attack, which Declan Rice did. Declan Rice could win the ball and then get you on the front foot and sprint through the middle. You know, Declan Rice was emerging into a number 8 when he played for us, and that was really important to us last season. Alvarez isn't that player. He's a great player. He's a great number 6. But he ain't that player, so he's just defensive. And then we've got James Ward-Prowse, who's, replacing Paqueta? Is he? Does James Ward-Prowse replace Paqueta in this? So we've gone from, I'm going to say his name, we've gone from Rice, Paqueta and Souček to Souček, James Ward-Prowse and Alvarez in the middle. We're still going to have Ben Rama out wide left because we've not purchased anyone else. We've got Cornet, but he's not even worth talking about him. He'll be injured after half an hour of playing. So it's going to be Ben Rama wide left. Fornals, I don't know what he's going to do with Fornals. I've got no clue. Bowen will be wide right. This is a player who's in the last 2 years of his contract. If he doesn't sign a contract now, by the time we get into next summer, he's in his last year. So that's another one we're probably going to have to lose. We'll have to sell him if he ain't signed a contract, or you're losing him for nothing. And we're going to have Mickey up front. Mickey ain't getting his move. He's been told he's staying because David Moyes wants him up front in that system because he's the only person that can do it. We're going to ask him to do it again. We're going to play 9 to 10 men behind the ball, and they will be. Ben Rama and Bowen will both be regressed. They will be. You're going to have a row of 5 and a row of 5. I believe that as well, or a row of 4. And then you'll have Antonio up front, and we'll be blocking, launching the ball up to Antonio for him to either flick it and then run onto his own flick on, or hold it up and wait half hour before somebody actually gets back from the other 18-yard box to come and support him. That's going to be our football this year, and it's miserable. It's really miserable, and I don't think there's any possible way that this can be wrong. Now, what confuses me about all of this is how people think that this could work. This could work. Look at the Wimbledon team. The Wimbledon team that were the crazy gang? We ain't the crazy gang. They had Vinnie Jones. We've got Thomas fucking Souček. Little bit different. They had they was like a team of criminals. They were intimidating. A really, really intimidating team. Yeah, we might be a bit fearsome from set pieces, but we ain't got characters like Wimbledon had. We're going to be nothing like them. Don't kid yourself. We haven't got the fashionews and we haven't got those players. They're not tough. You know, Wimbledon were tough. We're not. You know, even with the characters that we're bringing in. I know Alvarez is supposed to have a little bite, but like I say, making comparisons. If you're going to go full shithouse, Wimbledon are the pin-up boys. They were the best at it. They had literally hardly any talent, and it was all about scaring the opposition. That was all it was. We've got a little bit of talent left, but we're not going to use it because of the way we're going to play. But it's going to be based on the same premise. It's not going to work. I do believe that we will get enough points this season. I think we will. I think that we'll scrape enough points to maybe even get to mid-table playing this way, because we're going to be almost impossible to play through. Once you've got a team are going to really have to be on it, and an attacking team are going to have to really be on it to get through a defensive midfield and then 5 defenders at the back. You're going to have to be an amazing attacking team to get anything out of that. So I do think we'll get a lot of points. We'll get a lot of smashing grabs, but But I think we're going to lose a lot of games as well. But one thing I'm sure of is I think the football's just going to be shit. It's just going to be shit the whole way through. And then what I'm worried about is that we're going to get to the end of the season. I don't think we're going to do as well in Europe this year or the Cups. I just don't see it. Yeah, we're going to get through to the end of the season. If he's got us to mid-table, David Sullivan just won't care. He'll be happy. I think anything better than what we did last year in the league will be considered a success somehow. And I think they'll give him another contract. And this guy will continue to add more characters like this. And then before you know it, if you do this for 2 years or 3 years, you become that Tony Pulis Stoke City team where David Moyes has consumed this football club. Consumed it. We've been completely moised. Everyone that's there. So unless you've got a ridiculous amount of money, when it comes to the point you're going to make a change and bring a new forward-thinking guy in, unless you've got a ridiculous amount of money, you ain't going to be able to do anything with this group of players. You're going to have to gut it, get rid of them all because they've all got the wrong mindset because they've been coached differently, and then invest and bring a load of new players in, and that is a dangerous project at that point. You know, it might not work. Well, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I hope I'm proved wrong. You know, the football season starts tomorrow. It starts tomorrow. But the Athletic ran a poll. Where is it? Let me tell you. Hang on. I won't put it up on the screen. But they ran a poll. I think it was like a Hopo-meter or something. They called it. I'll find it in a minute. This is good, isn't it? Right. It is called the Premier League Hopo-meter. How followers of the Athletic feel about their club's chances in the 23-24 season. Aston Villa, 99% were hopeful, optimistic. We're right down the bottom. 92% of our fans that follow West Ham are pessimistic for the season. That's it there, look. That's it there. We're rock bottom. Rock bottom. Let's hope that doesn't reflect the actual league position. This is where we are. Now, is this a plan? Are we having our expectations realigned? Is this part of the master plan? Because they've delivered their trophy now. We've had a few years in Europe. Is it time to cash in now? You know, become this sort of knackered Red Bull model that people have been saying because we're selling Paqueta at a fucking profit. One player. Is this it now? Is it just going to be about keeping, you know, we gave them something now. They can't moan. And they've realigned our expectations to the point where we're so miserable and we're so downbeat and we're so fearful for the upcoming season that we're almost just going to be happy if we don't get beat, irrespective. Is this part of the plan? I really don't know. I don't think it's going to work with West Ham fans. I don't. Like Gary said yesterday, we do have a new breed of fan, you know, younger fans that have grown, have got a little bit accustomed to success. You know, they think David Moyes equals trophies now. Well, it don't. That was his first trophy in 1,000 games. Newsflash, it doesn't. That was a one-off. It was, unless some miracle happens this year. But the majority of fans, West Ham fans, are never ever going to accept this. It's just going to be miserable. And how many teams in big arenas like ours, 60,000-seater arenas, opt to play this style of football? They're normally, if you're playing in front of a huge audience, you put on a show, you entertain. Even more so. Imagine that, 60 after half a season of that. You're watching 20%, 30% possession. Just no football being played. Just block, tackle, header, launch. Honestly, I hope I'm proved wrong. I really do. I truly hope I'm proved wrong. I'm dreading Bournemouth tomorrow. If you look at the signings that they've made compared to us, they're all young, forward thinking. If they can do it, why can't we? Why can't we? Why have we got to go out and buy James Ward-Prowse, Harry Maguire? Why have we got to buy them players to survive? And then you hear other people on other channels say, you know, well, what do you want? Are you saying that you want good football at the expense of a win? But they say that as if that's the only way you can win a game now. Their brains have been muddled they've been moised. They believe that the David Moyes way means 3 points. Well, it doesn't. We lost 20 Premier League games last year for a start, but that's what they believe. So it's like they don't think you can win a football match by playing football. It doesn't have to be a choice between the two. You can play well and win games. So look, I'm dreading tomorrow. I am. I'm not going to review the game at all. I will be on after the match show. I will be on after the match, but I'm not going to review the game because I have looked at Bournemouth. I've looked at their recruitment. I've looked at their playing style, pre-season and their new manager, and I'm dreading tomorrow. They're not the same Bournemouth that we played last year. I think that we're going to get beat tomorrow. But the other thing that's happened is as well, one more thing before I go. I think this has all been orchestrated by David Moyes. You know, he loves an excuse. He loves an excuse. He will have looked at these first 5 fixtures and gone, fuck it now. That's a bit hard. He will have. He'll gone, how are we going to tackle them? You've got Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, 3 of the 5. Making all of these signings late, super late, gives him an excuse from the off to start slow. That's what it does. The guy's all about buying time. He knows we're going to start slow. He knows it's going to take him time to embed his football philosophy, which means kicking football out of everyone's soul at the club so that they can just play his, like I said the other day, knuckle dragger FC football. So, look, I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he proves me wrong and makes me look a very silly man. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think he may prove me wrong in terms of success, in terms of how far he gets us in the league and results that we pick up, but he ain't going to prove me wrong with football style, and we can see that by the types of players that he's going out and getting, and I'm dreading watching it. Anyway, look, that's it from me. As I said before, if you're new around here, please subscribe, drop a like on the video, and I will see you tomorrow, hopefully with 3 points. I'll give you a come on your heads. Go your heads!